company. Show me the track record and tell me why this person. And if you don't actually have all these people in place yet, then tell me how you're going to hire these people, where they're going to come from, and why would they find your company attractive that they want to join. And so at least if you don't have the people's profile in place, so you can't tell me that by name, this is my CTO, this is my COO, at least tell me who you have lined up. Well, we're talking to this person is about to join us once we have the funding. I have already written up this description, and this is we think there should be some people who have this credential who will be willing to join us. So at least tell people you're ready to hire. Usually the situation is that you're ready to hire once the investor said, okay, this is the check, go and hire these people, and then make the company happen. So the team. And then investor wants to know, okay, now you said you have the team, you have all your product and things. So tell me how things are going to happen and when, and what are the projections. So tell the investor something like, what are the achievable milestones? So once I have this investment, next is I'm going to hire the team that I promised. And this team is going to help me to then productize, and we will have the prototype by this time, or our service will be launched by this time. And we'll start with small, but then one shop, maybe then we'll expand to 3 shops, 5 shops. So tell people that your plan is, the projections, the milestone. And also tell people, to get to this milestone, what would be the resources that I need, apart from the human resources that we talk about in the team. Maybe I need a partner to do the production. Maybe I still need someone to help me to do the software, but I don't want to have this done in-house. So what are the resources against each milestone? What you need to acquire resources-wise before this milestone can be achieved. And also, because you're in the startup situation, you are just starting, you are talking to an investor. Of course, you need to know how much cash, what are the capitals you still have today, and whether that would be adequate. How long would that last? And because from an investor's perspective, not only they're looking for return, looking for a good investment opportunity, but they're looking for your survivability. So if they give you this round of, in this round, if they give you a certain amount of money as an investment, and you need this investment to take you to the product, that means you still don't have any revenue, right? So they want to know, would this capital be adequate to actually keep you survive till you see revenue? Of course, it will be even better if it's true, right? Then the investor will give you the money, and then that can actually take you to break-even point, meaning you can start generating, positive cash flow. Once you reach positive cash flow, that means you can survive without further injection of capital. That's what investors want to hear. I mean, it may not always be possible, but just tell them, therefore, your capital injection will take us up to this stage, which is like 12 months down the road, and we'll need maybe another round of investment, and for what purposes. So tell them all these, so some example of the milestone would be, okay, I have reached the prototype. You're going to see this prototype product 6 months, you're going to see the first customer 8 months, and you're going to see the break-even point maybe 12 months. So put this into your projections and milestones. And you reiterate that in your status and timeline, so people would actually look at it and say, okay, they have some idea of when and how and what things will happen during that time. And for the last of your 10 slides, you should then just quickly recap the key points. So remember, this is the anytime, anywhere English language service. We are addressing the biggest market you can imagine, and we don't need a lot of capital, and we can break even in 8 months' time. tell people the top things and key things that they need to know. And then what are the actions that you want them to take? And so, for example, in the investor's case, and we're hoping that you will invest into this exciting opportunity with $500,000 US, and according to our time frame, we want to close this round by 1 month in 4 weeks time. So tell them that there's something that they need to do, and when you need them to take that action. In the case of the investor, when you want their investment to come in, to make the decision. If it's a case of a partnership, tell them that we would really like to finalize our partnership agreement within 6 weeks, and so we can start doing business in 2 to 3 months time. So always leave them with something to react to and with a time frame. Now that was the previous 10 slides are what you need to put in the executive summary according to Guy Kawasaki. It's a good summary, and you have 15 minutes in your competition, so you probably can't do all 10 slides because that would be too much. What he suggests is actually to do it in 20 minutes, 10 slides, 20 minutes. Now, but I mentioned once you've done the executive summary for the senior executive of whoever you're meeting with, the investor, the judge, or whoever, you also need to do the full plan. And the full plan means you would have a little bit more detail. And I've added a few other things that you should show people in your full plan. The full plan could still be a PowerPoint and a vertical text in a Word document format. And bear in mind that the person who's going to read your full plan probably would be the associate or analyst of the investor, or some judge who have more time to actually go through your full plan and they're interested in knowing more detail. So I've added, first of all, you should expand on the detail of all the slides that you just learned, but also including a little bit more on the market analysis, and tell them a little bit more on your strategic analysis, and then in terms of your projections, you should also beef up the projections, backing up with some data if you have spreadsheet, etc. And we didn't mention too much on investment yet because that was executive summary more to get the senior executive to understand your market and business. But in the full plan, you should tell them a bit more on, therefore, what would be the investment required and how much return you're projecting that you can bring to the investor. So now, because you're doing a social enterprise, everything you look at here, you should consider both the business side and the social enterprise side, because you're delivering different values in terms of the actual dollar return on the business side, but then also on the social impact. But remember, full plan, more detail, but then also you have to consider the social impact as well. Typically, this would be used in the second meeting with the people in the investor who are really actually now looking at the due diligence, whether they should invest in your company. Okay? And because you're probably not as experienced, unless you have done several ventures yourself, you should always try to get someone to help you to review it. We mentioned, you could actually, if you have a trusted investor who don't mind looking at the draft, then by all means, get them to try to help you look at it. Angel investors, and then or another good source would be entrepreneurs who have done this before. Preferably someone who actually wrote business plan and actually raised money, who have gone through that experience. Grilled by the investor, they went through very harsh criticisms. So entrepreneurs will be another good source of advisor to help you look at your plan and review it and see whether it's realistic, whether you have left out anything. And by the way, there was a major turn off in the executive summary meeting is if you get challenged, just like some mistakes that you made just now. If I were the investor in that meeting, if you get some definition wrong, if you actually are not actually watertight with some of your assumptions, then that usually is a major turn off, because it reflects really badly that you have not done your homework and you probably misunderstand your market. So remember, that's why you need someone to help you to really check all your assumptions and making sure that you have covered all your ground. Now, what I'm saying here is, of course, trying to bring you to the highest standard of what someone who's looking for a real investment. I don't expect that to reach that standard for this competition yet, because you're still students or fresh graduates. But I hope you bring home today, remember this is the standard that we require if you're actually going to see an investor. And of course, you're not only seeking advice. I hope before the competition, you actually rehearse, make sure that your presentation will be at least smooth and interesting and things. Don't worry, we'll do a little bit more in section 4 on how to do a good presentation. I don't see anyone falling asleep here, so I think I'm doing okay. In terms of practice, and practice. Now, okay, what's the time? Okay, 11:35. Okay, so we have covered what are the basic of the 10 slides. Now, I want to go a little bit deeper now in terms of doing the market analysis. And you will get an exercise in a minute. So, market analysis, how do you actually identify a market opportunity? And once you have identified a market opportunity, how do you actually quantify and try to qualify the market? Quantify means try to assess the size, and qualifying is trying to see whether this is a real opportunity. So here's what Richard Branson is known to be a serial entrepreneur. Right? The Virgin Group is really famous and well respected. He started with Virgin Music. He has a Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Music, and everything. And how does he think about identifying market opportunity? Here are some of the key words, right? They look for opportunity where they can offer something better, fresher, and more valuable. But not just that, but it actually look for better, fresher, and more valuable only in areas where the customer are actually underserved. So the current customers are receiving a poor deal. So not just better, fresher, and more valuable, but actually the existing customers are not getting a good deal. Why is that important? Because even though you can offer something better, fresher, but then if the customer are actually quite happy with what they have today, then you still don't actually have a good market. It's hard to convert someone who are already happy with something. You can, but it's not easy. So think about that. It's the market you are trying to address. Even though you are better, but are your customer in pain? Another way of looking at it is, if you are delivering an old product, are you doing it in a new way? So if you think about it, everybody already have the mobile phone penetration was already very, very high when iPhone actually came out. But yet, iPhone was able to capture a significant amount, and it becomes actually, even though in terms of volume it's not a leader, but it definitely is a pioneer. People look up to Apple for innovation. So that's an old product in a way, but in a new way of new experience. So this is what Richard Branson also said. If you can think of a new way of doing the old product, you still have an interesting offering that you could be onto something as a market. And lastly, but not least, also you should try to always try to put yourself as the customer and see whether this is you are actually making it better. So reiterating the fact that you need to see from a customer's perspective, are you creating something that is really, really valuable to the customer. Therefore, to summarize what he meant now in more bullet point sort of format, we are looking at a gap. A gap in the market means something that no one has done, an unmet need. You're looking for customers who are getting a raw deal, so they're not actually being served. So what is that gap that people are not? We used the example just now, right? The underserved customers are people queuing up to buy ticket. They're not happy with the service. It's too slow, right? So someone came up with the idea of an online or phone ticketing. That was a gap in the market, and someone produced a product for it. It's good. Look for new ways to deliver old service. So in a way, iPhone is an old product, but then they have a new experience. So it's a new way to use the same sort of device. And try to exploit changes. What are the emerging opportunities? Whether there's a change in regulation, something that was not allowed before, maybe now you can. I mean, certainly gambling, opening up more casino in Macau, which is something I'm highly against, but it is a change. People exploit it, and but you see, that opportunity not only brought gambling, right, but also Venetian actually tried to create the convention center service. So there is new opportunity that came with that change. So this is some way of looking for identify the opportunities in the market. So when you actually look at opportunities, you should think about the same way. Now, we have a happy person here, and then someone screaming. Who's your customer? Who's your target customer?
Latter one.
The one in pain. Why?
Because there's something we can make it happier, and there's a mass need.
Yeah. I mean, the person is already happy. Maybe you can make him happier, probably, but the gap is not there. The gap is in someone who's screaming. If you know why he's screaming and you can provide a solution, he will pay for the service, without a sweat. So therefore, if you were looking at the opportunity, you're really looking for people who are not happy. You're not really looking at people who are already very happy. I mean, not to say you can never sell something to a happy person. You can buy an even more expensive flat, but in terms of new opportunity, is people who are in pain, unmet. Remember the gap, unmet need. Now, we already mentioned a little bit on this framework. So if you have a new market, old market versus new solution versus old solution, you really want to be in the new market, new solution, or anything, at least anything along the line new, should be a better opportunity, and investors like those more. So if you go through it one by one, right? If you are selling an old product in an old market, like shampoo, you're not going to go very far, or it's not a very exciting product. The market has already been conquered by P&G, by Unilever. You can't have too much innovation and things. Now, if you are in a kind of new way of doing in the old market, like digital camera, that's actually quite exciting. So anything new is exciting. So digital camera, has today, I mean, practically no person will buy a new, film camera, right? The new generation, everybody get a digital camera. No new generation will get a film camera. Very, very few. That old market has been revolutionized, completely changed. So that was a new market into an new product into an old market. So you're still taking pictures, doing for the same reason. When personal computer came out, it was a new product in a new market. No one has a computer. No one owned a computer before. So it was a completely new product in a completely new market. But then what's difficult about that is you're facing with people don't understand the product yet. And so you need to completely create a new market. Whereas people already understand what it means by taking a picture. So using a digital camera to take a picture is not a new, it's not exactly something that they have to relearn. They already know what it means to take a picture. So new market, new product, you need to re-educate the people. In a way, the glasses would be kind of a new way of doing an old market. Right? People already know what it means to wear glasses, but then they just didn't have a new way. Now they have a new way to doing the adjustable and don't need an optician to do it. Teaching English, actually, at first sight, you would think is actually an old product for teaching English, right? But actually, it's a new way of doing the teaching English because you're doing it online, you're doing it by phone. So this is something you don't need to. People know what it means to be learning English. So in a way, it's a new product in the old market. However, I'll tell you how it's also actually in the new market. But we'll first go to the old product in the new market. Now, if you look at Coca-Cola, these are easy example. That was invented. The fizzy drink in U.S. And then you go to market that don't already have this, right? So that's one way of looking at it. It happens in a lot of consumer products. You simply move it to a market that did not have this product before. However, I think budget airline is actually an even cleverer example because if you look at Ryanair or EasyJet, JetBlue, AirAsia, it is actually an old product. I mean, you already take Cathay, you're already taking Singapore Airlines, you're already taking a flight, and you're already flying from A to B. So what's so new? About budget airlines and all these, right? You're still buying a ticket to fly somewhere. Why do I put them in the old product and new market? Well, actually, if you look at the people who actually taking Ryanair or taking EasyJet, they claim they have actually captured customers who previously did not fly. That's very, very, very interesting. They actually opened up and created a whole new customer set of people who did not actually fly because they find flying too expensive. And now it becomes affordable, and so more people are flying. And actually, they also created a lot more different routes, flying from maybe London to Romania, London to some place that was not actually economically viable before. So I think that's actually very, very, very creative. The way the whole budget airline industry actually have evolved. Now, back to the e-learning example, why I say they are also tackling not just old market, it's also a new market, which will help you in your case later, right? Now, if you think about people who live in the first tier city in China, Shanghai, Beijing, or Guangzhou, or Tianjin, or whatever, people actually have access to native English speaker because there are lots of Lao Wai, right, living in these cities. So you can still get some English teacher in this city. But now if you think about the second tier or even third tier city in China, places where obscure like Taizhou or some places where it's actually a hardship for a foreigner to live in a second or third tier city. Unlike Japan, any foreigner who go to any city of Japan is still actually very pleasant. The standard is high, everything is clean, right? So for the people who live in third tier or even fourth tier city in China, they can still afford or they still want their children to learn English because that's the way to improve their chances of getting better jobs, going to the city. And they cannot find a native English teacher in the market. So therefore, delivering the service through online or through mobile phone is actually viable, and in fact, it's highly sought for because they have no other means of accessing a native English speaker. So that would have been the only solution. You know, even company like Info or Wall Street Institute, they have problems of placing a foreign teacher in the city because they just don't want to live there. So this is actually a new market as well for the e-learning. So later on you do the case, remember this. But it's something that a lot of people actually overlook. They just thought it's an old product in an old market. It's not true. But I want you to remember, try to use this framework and think about the social enterprise or the product or the service that you are actually providing. And you don't want to be in the old market, with an old product. I mean, not ideal. Right? Of course, you can still survive and you can still have a business, but then competition is intense, and it's going to be very hard for you to find your unique value proposition in the old market, the old product. So try to think about that. Now, investors and people love to hear how big your market is. But you can do it in two ways. Well, first of all, if you can identify your market is big, that's better, right? Of course, the bigger the better. You don't want to my entire market is just one building. That's no good. I mean, of course, if your product, I mean, the two examples that we cited, the entire market could be the entire world, right? The glasses and the e-learning. That's great. But how did you know that? So you have to show people where you get your statistics. It could be from research report. It could be from financial institutes like Goldman or Morgan Stanley says so. So there must be someone who has done some research on that. If you have to do it yourself, the bottom-up approach, which we'll show you in a minute. So you have to think about, I will have so many customers. They're going to buy my product so many times, and they're going to pay so much for each time. That therefore, each year I'm going to capture this much revenue. So the bottom-up approach. And if you can actually do both, if you have some sources of bottom-up, some sources for top-down, and if they actually come to a agreeable order of magnitude, then your estimate is probably good, probably not far off. Now, so therefore, for our next exercise, I'll tell you a little bit more now before we go on, and so you'll be doing the market analysis for the two companies. Now, what we've seen so far, and I haven't actually mentioned, I think a lot of people have captured the idea that the glasses was going to be sold in underdeveloped country with no opticians and things. But what actually you have not thought of is how you're going to sell this in the rich country. Anybody has some idea? I'm going to tell you in a minute, but so far we had all four teams who said, sell to second-tier cities, sell to maybe Southeast Asia or underdeveloped. How can you sell this to a rich country? Any idea?
It's very cool product.
Cool product. Yeah, if you can make it a cool product. There is a limitation because I'll tell you the adjustable lens, because of the way you're doing this fluid field, it has to be round. So everybody has to look like it has to be round. That's unfortunate. Now, first of all, why wouldn't you buy it in a developed country? I think you already mentioned because it's not fashionable. In the developed country, it's accessible. Okay, that's okay. I'll tell you what you can. Tokyo has earthquake, right? Sichuan, any places, earthquake, emergency. You probably lose your glasses, right, during the process. But in these emergency cases, if you have a pair of glasses like this at home, in your emergency box, right? Any of your member of your family can just grab it, or you can just send this to an area as a relief. So suddenly you have thousands or hundreds of thousands of pairs of these glasses in the earthquake area. they can quickly use this, and it helps a lot. You're talking about life or death, or they need to continue to help other people, etc. So emergency service would actually need this. So one way of selling it to a rich country like Japan is sell it alongside with your emergency kit. You already have something like extra water or light, torch. So why not put 1 or 2 pairs of emergency glasses in your emergency kit? And they can easily afford that. I mean, we talk about these retailing at maybe $25 US. So for Japan, that's not a problem. Even if you actually get some donation and then send shipments of these glasses to Sichuan, right? That's actually pretty affordable too. So I'll just give you extra information. That is another market that we have not actually touched on before. Now, for the school, online school, I think I already mentioned about the new market that they can actually tackle. That hopefully will factor into your projections. But in actual fact, they actually sell through retail shops as a redemption card. They can sell through agents, where the agents are actually schools and training centers. They can sell direct to corporate, so it's a corporate training rather than each consumer coming to for the service. They actually sell to schools, and they can sell online as well. So these are the respective customer base that they could tap into. So I mentioned the glasses are retailing at about $25 US. This product is around 3,000 RMB for a 3-month course. That's the normal product for 3